Imagine this. The President of the United States, just days into his term, announces he wants to buy an entire country. But not just any country, Greenland, a massive icy island in the Arctic, almost 3 times the size of Texas, but with only 60,000 residents. Sounds like a plot from a political thriller, right? But no, this was a real proposal from none other than Donald Trump. Why would the US want to buy Greenland? It's not just about land. It's about strategy, power, and even imperial ambition. We're talking military dominance, precious natural resources, and control over the emerging superhighways of the Arctic. But hold on, Denmark, who actually owns Greenland, flatly said no. So, what happens when a powerful nation doesn't take no for an answer? Could this icy expanse become the next flashpoint in global politics? Stay tuned as we dive into one of the most bizarre, fascinating political stories you've never heard before. And trust me, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Now picture this. It's January 20th, the day Donald Trump officially becomes the President of the United States. But even before he takes the oath of office, he's already making waves, announcing bold plans that have the world talking. One of those plans, expanding US territory by buying Greenland. Yes, you heard that right, buying Greenland. Where is Greenland anyway? Before we jump into the why behind Trump's proposal, let's do a quick geography lesson. Greenland is a massive island located in the North Atlantic. It's sandwiched between Canada and Iceland. But here's the kicker. It's technically owned by Denmark, a small European country with a population of just 6 million. Greenland, in contrast, is sparsely populated, home to only about 60,000 people, mostly Inuits. Despite its size, it's 3 times larger than Texas. 80% of Greenland is covered in ice. So, why does the USA care about this icy expanse? Strategic importance. Now, let's dive deeper into why Greenland is such a hot topic for national security and global strategy. To truly grasp its importance, imagine looking down at the Earth from above, with the Arctic Circle as the focal point. This icy expanse might seem remote and desolate, but it's actually a major crossroads for the world's shipping lanes. As the Arctic ice melts due to climate change, these shipping routes are becoming more accessible. This includes the fabled Northwest Passage, which could dramatically cut travel time between Europe and Asia. Much of this traffic brushes dangerously close to Russia's sphere of influence, making Greenland a prime location for monitoring and controlling Arctic trade. Think of it as the control tower for a rapidly emerging superhighway in the north, but the stakes go beyond shipping. The Arctic is also a region of growing military interest. As global powers like Russia and China ramp up their Arctic presence, Greenland's strategic position becomes even more critical. Having Greenland under US control would mean an enormous advantage in monitoring both military and commercial activities in this increasingly contested region. And let's not ignore the treasure buried beneath Greenland's icy shell. While it's true that 80% of the island is covered in ice, scientists believe there are vast untapped reserves of minerals and resources: coal, copper, zinc, diamonds, and even oil. These riches are theoretically worth trillions, but extracting them is a logistical nightmare. Greenland's harsh climate and remoteness have kept its potential largely unrealized. However, as technology advances and the Arctic becomes more accessible, that could all change, turning Greenland into one of the world's most valuable pieces of real estate. A history of US interest. Here's where the story gets even more intriguing. This isn't the first time the US has set its sights on Greenland. Over a century ago, in 1917, Denmark and the US struck a deal. Denmark sold the US Virgin Islands for $25 million in gold, a fortune back then. The deal reflected the geopolitical realities of the time. Denmark needed money, and the US wanted to strengthen its presence in the Caribbean. Fast forward to 1946, and history almost repeated itself. President Harry Truman offered Denmark $100 million in gold to purchase Greenland outright. Why? Even then, Greenland's strategic value as a gateway to the Arctic was clear, but Denmark said no, holding on to the island despite the lucrative offer. Since that rejection, Denmark has consistently stated that Greenland is not, and will never be, for sale. But here's the thing. Donald Trump isn't known for taking no as a final answer. Trump's argument. When Trump proposed buying Greenland, his reasoning was clear. We need Greenland for national security. People have been talking about this for years, long before I even ran for office. He even raised an eyebrow-raising point. Does Denmark even have the right to Greenland? Trump hinted that the island's residents, primarily Inuit, might choose to join the United States through a vote. Let's pause here. Imagine the spectacle of Greenland voting to become the 51st state of the United States. While it might seem far-fetched, Trump's suggestion taps into a broader question. What does Greenland's future look like? Currently, it operates with significant autonomy under Denmark but has long flirted with the idea of independence. If that independence were achieved, could the US swoop in as a potential ally and investor? But Trump didn't stop there. If Denmark outright refused to negotiate, he proposed a classic Trump move: tariffs. The idea was to use economic pressure to push Denmark to reconsider. However, there's a catch. Unlike Canada or Mexico, Denmark's trade with the US is relatively small. Here's where the numbers tell an interesting story. Only 5.6% of Denmark's exports go to the United States, amounting to about $6.5 billion annually. On the flip side, the US accounts for just 4.5% of Denmark's imports, worth around $5.5 billion. In short, while tariffs could be annoying for Denmark, they wouldn't cripple its economy. Unlike countries like Canada or Mexico, which rely heavily on trade with the US, Denmark's economic exposure to American tariffs is minimal. The big question: military action? During a press conference, Trump was asked whether he would rule out military or economic coercion to acquire Greenland. His response: "No, I can't assure you of that." Let's pause here for a moment. Does this mean the US would invade Greenland? Probably not. But Trump's refusal to rule out military action raises eyebrows. Could this be a bluff, a negotiating tactic, or something more serious? Only time will tell. The bigger picture. What makes this story even more fascinating is the historical parallel to expansionist policies of centuries past. In the 1500s and 1600s, powerful nations expanded their territories through conquest and colonization. In today's world, that kind of behavior is largely condemned. Yet here we are, with the world's most powerful nation expressing interest in acquiring new territory. Is this just a political spectacle, or could it set a precedent? What's next? Denmark has been clear. Greenland is not for sale. But Trump has also made it clear that he sees Greenland as essential for national and even global security. So what happens next? Will Denmark stand firm, or could Greenland's people push for independence and align with the US? Will Trump escalate tensions, or will this all fade into political rhetoric? We'll be watching closely as this story unfolds. One thing's for sure, this isn't the last we've heard about Greenland and its icy allure.